I've always searched for answers my whole life, whether it be externally, internally, thinking, feeling, through various different ways of doing it. I've always been sort of naturally geared towards finding the truth, very suspicious of a lot of things. And for a long time, I thought the answers were very practical, that I would have to figure out certain practical answers to my problems, like I'm in a relationship, my partner is unhappy, so I need to do things to make them happy, or I need to have a particular conversation so it fixes it, or I need to fix myself, or whatever. In many ways, this very practical approach to problem solving is celebrated because this is how our society economy functions in the workplace. These are very practical things where we work hard, we solve logical issues to whatever problem. Obviously, there are jobs that are more emotional and abstract in nature, but just speaking generally, most of us work in what, an office or as a trade, in a trade of some kind, and these are very practical solutions to our problems. But this won't actually change anything in terms of who we are and how we feel and our development as a human being. We may gain practical experience, we may gain proficiency at solving logical, complex issues in our lives, but we don't change. We gain skills, but we don't change. We don't get better. We don't feel better. We aren't capable of more, of clearer, of more purpose, more love, more peace. We just largely stick on a whole bunch of practical skills. One of the ways that I tried to develop myself was asking questions. Jed McKenna, in his famous books, suggested spiritual autolysis, which is you ask questions and you try to find the truth. For me, it never worked. I've never found anyone who it works for in terms of growing spiritually or emotionally, however you'd like to label it, as a human being. It's a very intellectual exercise where we try to see truth. We ask a question, who am I? Then we burrow down into these layers of imaginary thought, stories, imagery, and this is supposed to grow us. It's no better than watching a movie, reading a book. You may learn some practical things about your belief system, but it's not going to change anything. I would ask a question like, why do I hate myself? This is a very common issue for me. And the answers I would find would be things like, I had a bad childhood, I'm not productive enough, my social skills aren't good enough, I'm not doing things that I enjoy, I'm not getting out with friends enough, I'm not eating well enough. Just a whole series of practical answers that I tried to fix this logical problem with. For many years, nothing ever worked. It was a complete waste of time. If I ask myself the question now, why do I hate myself? I stop and I listen to the body. I feel some tension in the stomach. Throughout the body, there's tension. That is the answer. If I ask myself, what is what am I here to do? What is the point? I ask it and I listen to the body. I feel some things in the chest and the stomach. If I'm, say, working and something happens and someone does something I don't like, I ask, why don't I like that? And I look to the body. I find some sadness in the stomach, some anger in the chest. There's even ways we can play with these questions. We can assume things about ourselves. We can say things like, why don't my parents like me? Why don't my parents love me? And see what comes up in the body. This is your answer. Be with this, the answer. No logic required. Thanks.